Hi.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. If y'all did not see the first installment of this little series on my channel, to give you a recap, I'm reading the Bridgerton book series just like every other person on the planet right now. Bridgerton just has me in a friggin' chokehold. I finished season 2 and it's essentially become my entire personality at this point. It's all I can think about, and I am just so dying for season 3 and to learn more and to see these other stories that I'm like, I'm just gonna freaking read it. I went into book 1 of the series, The Duke and I, a little hesitant just because I love the show so much and I didn't want to like taint that. I was hoping that the books would be just as good, and I was just hoping that I would still enjoy the first book because I already like watched the first season. I already knew the story. I just didn't know what to expect, and spoiler alert if you didn't watch the last video, I freaking loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought it was so enjoyable. I thought it was so easy to read. I just can feel that I'm going to get so sucked into this series, and I'm so excited to continue. But I am so freaking excited, especially to start book 2, because you know, season 1 of Bridgerton was good. I was here for the vibes, but like it didn't blow my mind completely. Season 2, however, I mean, I've explained, it's all I can think about. Like, if you know, you know. If you've seen it, you know. I don't need to tell you. So we are now gonna get into Antony's story. I literally don't want to talk about it anymore because I just want to dive right in. So just like the last video, I'm just going to start reading this. I'm going to pop in whenever I have thoughts, things to say. This vlog will probably again be a lot of me comparing the book to the show because again, that's my frame of reference. But from here on out, the rest of the books will just be a straight up reading vlog. So I'm so excited. I'm going to get started and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Okay, hello guys. I am on chapter 6, page 111, I think. I am obsessed. I'm so obsessed with this series, dude. It's already so much better than the first book. I really enjoyed the first book, but this one, just the story right off the bat is just way more interesting, I feel. I mean, the fake dating aspect of the first book is great and I love that trope, but just a spicy enemies to lovers with a bunch of angst and tension is always going to get me. It's always going to draw me in. It's funny. It's so similar yet also very different from the show. There's so many scenes that have happened so far in the book that I can tell they kind of took and translated into something different in the show. Like there's very specific little lines and conversations and just things that happen that you can tell like inspired the show. But this book so far hasn't at all been exactly the same. It's been very different, in fact, but I like it. I like it a lot. It's so funny. I said this in the last video talking about the last book. I love how much we get to see the other siblings in this book and like the family dynamic. You see that in the show too, but something about it in the book is just different. We still really haven't seen too much of the sisters yet, but Colin is like a huge character and I love him so much. Like he has been my favorite character in the books so far, and I hate it because I don't love his character on the show. Like I'm hoping it turns around and they make him better, but like he's so like witty and he's such a little shit in the books. Like he's just causing drama. Like he's the drama. He's just there to like instigate stuff, and him, like his banter between Antony is just so good and so funny. And him and Kate have like this whole interaction in this book, and he actually meets her before Antony, and he kind of instigates their whole relationship, like forces them to dance, to like meet and then dance together. And it's so funny and I love him so much. And I don't know why they made his character in the show kind of like annoying, like the way, I don't know, I guess in the first season he's kind of like sweet, and you know when he's with Marina and all that, which that literally didn't happen in the book, by the way. I don't know if maybe that happens later on, but or if that was just something they added in for extra drama in the show. But he's not like, his like funny nature isn't really coming across in the show. Like they've kind of made him this like annoying, is prick a rude word? Sorry. They've kind of made him like a prick in the show of like, oh, I'm really well traveled. Let me talk to you about my travels for hours. And like, that's not really how he's been in the book. So it just makes me sad because I want to see his character to his full potential and I want to love him in the show. So hopefully once they get into his season, which I feel like is going to be next season, they'll do him better. But anyways, that's a whole ramble for nothing. Anthony and Kate's back and forth is so good. I really love these books because they're written in third person, which I don't generally like, but I do like it in this instance because you kind of get multiple points of view, the way that Julia Quinn writes it. So you're seeing inside of Kate's head, you're seeing inside of Anthony's head, you're seeing them kind of bicker and banter, and you really, I feel, get to see Anthony's like internal struggle of, you know, what his father's death did to him and how he wants to marry because he needs to and it's his duty, but you see that he doesn't want to fall in love, he can't fall in love, he just wants a good wife that he can make good children with and that they can enjoy each other's company, but like nothing super deep or anything like that. So that's nice to see so we can understand him a little bit more, and then also just seeing how, I'm only like 100 pages in, but you can already see the way that Kate vexes him, but at the same time he can't deny that he's like attracted to her, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see where it goes. I can just tell I'm gonna love this one. I already love it. This season, I'm gonna have to rewatch the season as soon as I'm done with it, but yeah, I'm gonna go to bed because once again, it's like 2 in the morning. What else is new? But yeah, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, hello guys, it is the weekend, so I am back on my Bridgerton shit. I missed it. I was really busy this week, so I was excited to get to read. I'm on chapter 11, page 200. Okay, some thoughts. First of all, I really like it. I love the banter. I love everything happening between Kate and Anthony. But one of my biggest freaking pet peeves in books, just in all books in general, is when tension is broken too early, and like specifically physical tension. And I think that's what was so, I know that's what was so amazing about this season of Bridgerton, was how long it took for them to like give in. Like they were always so close, so close, so close, on the verge, like you're squirming in your seat because you can't even like fathom what's happening. And then you had to like wait for it, and it was just like, it made the tension just build and build and build. It was so good. But they literally kissed in this, like so early. Too early. Like they had literally, I loved it. Like they were hating each other. They had a whole, the thing where they fell in the water. Like it was just, it was great. And I was loving it. And then the whole scene with them in the office, because we got kind of the scene of them in the office in the show. So I was like, oh my gosh, a tense little moment. And then all of a sudden it was like, because it was like a break in a chapter, and I was like, okay, it's gonna switch scenes now. And then he was kissing her, and I was like, you can't kiss her. This is entirely too soon. And it was way before even he was truly like courting Edwina at that point. And what was so good in the show was that like their tension built and built and built like after he was already fully invested in Edwina. So that just like made me upset. I mean, it's still good otherwise, but I wish so badly they just wouldn't have actually kissed. Like they could have come very, very close and not done it, but it just changes things, you know? Like once they've had a taste of each other, quite literally, it's just like, I wish that wouldn't have happened. But otherwise, very, very good so far. We had the scene with the Pall Mall, I guess is how you call it, Pall Mall. It's basically croquet, isn't it? Maybe that's something different. I don't think I'm cultured enough to understand the difference, but we got that entire scene in the book of like the Bridgerton family playing it and them like sabotaging each other and her like hitting his ball into the lake or whatever. Loved it. I loved all of that, and I feel like that scene, like where I ended, was the first moment where they weren't entirely at each other's throats, and he was like, huh, maybe I do feel affection for her. Like, so yeah, we're about halfway. Very good. I definitely like this book better than the first one. I don't know about Anthony's character yet. I know the whole point is like he's gonna have development and stuff, and like we know that, but he had a few moments earlier in this book where I was just like, I'm trying really hard to like him and he's not rubbing me the right way. But again, that's the whole point. And he's definitely, you can see him developing. You can see him, even though he's fighting against loving anyone, you can see that he's it's gonna happen for him anyways, and he's gonna learn and grow. Here to say for the 1000th time that I'm obsessed with Colin. I said this so many times in the first book. He's like my favorite character. Like everything he says, he just makes me freaking laugh, and I cannot wait to get to his book where it's just him, because he's the best. He's the best. And another comment I will make too is it's really funny to me how main of a character they made Eloise in the show, where she's practically non-existent so far in these books. Like you really don't see her, and what you see of her, she really isn't like the Eloise of the show. So maybe they just like did their own thing with that, which I'm totally fine with, because they did a great job with her. She's amazing, but she's a really, really minor character so far in the series. But maybe like, because she is younger, as she gets older, we'll see her more. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going, and I'll check in with you guys in a bit. Okay, I literally just screamed because I just got to this part in the book, and it's a real thing. Can you read this? And then there was Kate Sheffield, the bane of his existence and the object of all of his desires. The fact, I was wondering that, I'm like, please for the love of God, tell me that that line is verbatim from the book. And I'm so happy it was, but he's not saying it out loud. It's like an internal thought. So I hope he does. But oh my God, that literally, I think everyone, that point in the season was where it was just like, God tier, this is it, I'm done. Lock me away, Anyways, small interlude, I'm gonna continue. All right, hello guys. I was just filming a book review for something different, and I felt like this top was my closest top to a Bridgerton aesthetic, and then I was like, let me do my hair all Bridgerton-y so I could take a picture for my Instagram with this book. We'll see how that turns out. I'm not sure, but I did want to check in because I got to page 292, chapter 16 last night, and it's veering in a very different direction than the show, which I'm not mad about. I do think it's really cool how the show managed to take very specific scenes and conversations and instances and directly put them in the show. I love that so much when movies do that, where it's like, you know, the fanfare, like we want this exact scene. So we did get the scene with the bee, because I was wondering if that was gonna happen, because they mentioned the dad died from the bee, but like in the book, Jonathan Bailey, that's so funny. Anthony didn't see it in the book, where in the show, very dramatically, he like witnessed it, which I think hit a lot harder, obviously, because then whenever he sees Kate get stung by the bee, it's like, he freaks out because he doesn't want to see her die right before his eyes, just like his dad. But anyways, so they seem to like, in the book, they aren't as hardcore enemies as the show. They kind of develop a bit of a friendship. They still kind of banter, but he finds her in his office because she's freaking out about the rain, which we do see in the show too, because she doesn't like storms, and so she's all crouched under the desk, and that's when they have a moment because he's like comforting her, and you know, she learns a little bit more about him. So I think they kind of come to, I mean, she's realizing she has feelings for him, but she's like, you need to marry my sister, like, I don't know, that's another aspect too, where in the show, there was this whole drama part of like, the sister is going to get a dowry and she has to marry a nobleman. Like, that's not a thing in this book. It's really just that Kate is so focused on like Edwina and her happiness, and Edwina is the one that is very like prim and proper, where Kate never has been that very much, that she's just like, I'll do my own thing. I'm more focused on Edwina's happiness, where it isn't like a thing of they have to get this money. I did think that was a little extra added drama that wasn't super necessary in the show, but of course they gotta do that. They gotta add the drama. But yeah, so they were just kind of friendly, but then what ends up happening is when the bee situation happens, he's like freaking out, thinking she's gonna die, that he's like trying to help her, and he's like, I'm gonna suck the bee venom out, which, okay, Edward Cullen, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, can you suck, I guess like people do that with snake venom too, I don't know. So he's trying to like suck the bee venom out of her, because it's just like in the show, she gets bitten like the collarbone, and then Anthony's mom and Miss Featherington and Kate's mom like walk into the garden and see this happening, and it just looks like they're in a compromising situation. So just like everything else in this series, it's like, you must marry her, you touched her, you glanced at her, you breathed in her vicinity, you must marry her. So they're getting married. There's really never any sort of development in this book with like Edwina and Antony's relationship. Obviously in the show, they literally walk down the aisle, like there's a whole, like they don't ever have much of a connection, but Antony really tries, and there's a lot of interactions between them two, and like them dancing a lot, and then obviously he proposes to her. Like none of that happens in this book. So now there's about a little over, there's probably like 130 pages left, and right now we're at the phase where him and Kate are engaged and they're gonna get married. And Antony just kind of had like a talk with her of like, I'm gonna have a loveless marriage, I can't love you, I just want it to be clear that we will have children and we will be friendly, but I can't love you, is the sort of thing. So I guess obviously we're just gonna see him learn to actually love her, but I don't know. It's really, really good. I really love it. If I hadn't seen the show, I would be eating this up, and I still am eating it up. It's been really, really, really good. But I do prefer the fact that they're already like together, right? Like they're gonna get married, so they're together. It's just the matter of him admitting, kind of like Simon in the first book, just him admitting like, I can love you and like, I can be happy. You know, I don't have to just follow my duty. Where in the show, it was kind of nice that the tension held out until like the very, very end. And then he finally gave in and they were in love and all the things and all that. So yeah, I'm probably gonna finish this book today. I'm sure I'm gonna finish it. So I will check back in with you. Probably not with my fancy little updo I have going on here, but yeah, talk to you guys in a bit. Okay guys, I just finished. I don't know what it is with this book series, but I just fly through them so fast. I sat down to read those last like 120 pages. And I got to the end and I didn't even realize it was the last page, and I was just like, what? It just goes so fast. It's so easy to read, and I loved it. I keep comparing it to the show, and this is the last time I'm gonna be doing that because the next book, we don't have a show to compare it to, so bear with me, but it really was very different than the show, but still a lot of very similar themes. Obviously, we have Antony, who really was traumatized by the death of his father and feels inside that like he was not as good of a man as his father was, and that there's no way he could possibly live longer than him. And the fact that his father died very young, he has this thing within him that he saw how in love his parents were and how much it devastated his mother whenever his father passed away. So he doesn't want to love, he doesn't want to be in love, he doesn't want to fear dying basically, because he doesn't want to fear like losing anything in his real life, essentially. So we see that in the book. Honestly, it was really freaking similar to The Duke and I, the way that him and Simon both kind of had their freak out moments where they like ran away and like went back to their houses and away from their wives, and Daphne had to like basically hunt Simon down and talk to him and convince him that he was worthy of love and all this stuff and worthy of happiness. And then in the same way, Antony ran off back to his home and Kate had to find him and be like, what is your problem? But I did enjoy, we had a same scene in this book where in the show Kate got in that accident on the horse, and then something very similar to that happened in this book in the same time that basically Antony realized that he loved her and needed to get over himself and allow himself happiness and was running after her. He thought that he lost her in that moment, and I think that was the first time he really realized it wasn't his own morality that he was worried about. Now it's somebody else's. Like, that's how much he truly loves her, that he fears losing her a lot more than he fears dying himself, I guess. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but it ended super beautifully. I seriously highlighted so many parts of this book. Like, I'm surprised my pen didn't run out of ink. Like, especially the last handful of pages, I don't know if you can even see it, but I underlined and highlighted so many things, and I really loved it. I will say, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this has read this book. If not, sorry. I am gonna encourage though my friends that are fans of the show that haven't read the book yet to seriously still read it, because it's different enough that you don't like know what's gonna happen. Like, I really was afraid going into this series at all that there wasn't gonna be a point in reading it because I've seen the show and it's gonna be exactly the same and like I'll get bored, but it's just similar enough that it's like, you know the main pieces, you know the themes, you know what to expect, but they really did their own thing in the show. I thought they were both so good. Honestly, the show is like God tier amazing. The extra elements they added into it, the extra drama, was great. The only aspect of this book I didn't love or really care for that much was Kate's whole like story of her fear of storms and like her mother's death. Like I thought I always think it's cute when someone has like nightmares and someone has to comfort them. So her being afraid of storms and all of that was fine. Like, but I just didn't need the whole story of the reason she was afraid of storms, and it was because her mom was dying and there was a storm that day and blah, blah, blah. Like that whole explanation and that whole drawn out thing, like I just don't think it added that much to the story, and it could have just been that she was like afraid of storms. Like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like that was that important of a part to the story that when those parts came up, I just like didn't care to read about them as much. But that was really the only thing. I loved it. I loved it, and I'm so excited to now read the next book. I cannot remember what it's called. An Offer from a Gentleman, I think. I know it's Benedict's story, so I'm going to literally start that tonight immediately, and of course I'm going to vlog it because this is a journey we're going on together. I'm so excited to go into a book completely blind and not have any idea what his story is going to be. So yeah, that is it for me today. If you guys have read the Viscount Who Loved Me, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear how it compared to the show for you. The show is still the bane of my existence and the object of all of my desires, but I'm very, very happy that I read this, and I'm very happy to see more of Kate and Anthony sprinkled throughout the rest of the series. So yeah, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.